Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to give you the lowdown on the Premier League's Matchday 33.
Yep, we've looked through all the results, the summaries, everything.
Our aim is to pull out the key moments, the talking points, basically everything you need to know without having to watch every single minute.
Exactly. We've covered all 10 games. Brentford against Brighton, West Ham and Southampton.
Everton versus Man City, Palace versus Bournemouth,
Aston Villa versus Newcastle, Arsenal versus Ipswich, Man United versus Wolves, Chelsea versus Fulham, Liverpool versus Leicester, and Spurs against Nottingham Forest. A full slate.
Right. And our mission, as always, is to get beyond just the scores. We want to talk about performances, surprises, and what it all actually means for the league table.
Yeah, giving you that quick, digestible briefing on the weekend's action.
So let's get stuck in. Where should we start? That Brentford-Brighton game, perhaps. 4-2.
Yeah, that's a good place to start. A real cracker, that one.
What stood out? Lots of goals, obviously.
Well, Brentford's attack was just incredibly effective. Ivan Toney, 2 goals, obviously crucial.
He's so important for them.
Absolutely. But it wasn't just him. They used those long balls, that direct play, really well to get behind Brighton.
Brighton struggled with that.
Yeah, their high line got exposed quite a bit. Toney winning headers, bringing others like Mbemo into the game. It caused Brighton a lot of problems. They scored 2, fair play, but couldn't handle Brentford's forwards.
Okay, so a very different vibe from West Ham versus Southampton. That finished 1-1.
Well, completely different. Much more of a grind, a hard-fought point for both sides, really.
Bowen scored early for West Ham.
He did, yeah. But then Ward-Prowse, well, you know what he does.
Another free kick.
Nailed it. Typical Ward-Prowse. After that, it was really about the midfield battle. Very compact, tough to break down.
Both teams showing resilience.
Definitely. Southampton actually tweaked things tactically. We do a 4-3-3, I think, in the second half. That helped them get a bit more control centrally, led to the equalizer, showed good fight from both.
Right. Then you had the champions, Man City, going to Everton and winning 2-0. Was that fairly routine for City?
It looked that way. They had that control we expect from them. Haaland scored, De Bruyne scored.
Standard stuff for them.
Pretty much. The key thing was how they stopped Everton. Their press was effective, very disciplined defensively. Everton just couldn't really create anything clear-cut.
Forced wide, maybe.
Yeah, a lot of crosses that City dealt with pretty comfortably. Everton didn't seem to have that outlet, to relieve the pressure. Showed the gap, really.
Okay. And then the complete opposite. A 0-0 between Crystal Palace and Bournemouth. Anything interesting there?
Well, no goals, obviously. But it did show some good tactical discipline from both managers.
Defense focus.
Very much so. Palace worked hard in midfield, broke up Bournemouth play, and Bournemouth defended really solidly, didn't give Palace much space in dangerous areas.
So, up point probably fair.
I'd say so. More about avoiding defeat than maybe going all out for the win. Strong defensive efforts.
Let's talk goals again. Aston Villa 4, Newcastle 1. Wow.
Yeah, that was a statement, wasn't it? Villa were superb going forward.
Watkins the star.
Definitely. 2 goals, an assist. He was brilliant. But the whole attack just clicked. They were fluid, quick in transition, used the width really well.
Exploited Newcastle's defense.
Absolutely. Newcastle got a consolation goal,
Yeah.
but defensively they look vulnerable. Villa really exposed them. Shows Villa's potential, maybe?
Could be. And raises questions for Newcastle defensively.
For sure. They'll need to look at that.
Right. Sticking with Villa, let's jump to another Midlands team. Manchester United losing 1-0 at home to Wolves. That was a surprise.
A big surprise. One of the real shocks of the weekend, I'd say.
How did that happen? United usually dominate possession at home.
They did. They had loads of the ball, created some chances too, but just couldn't score.
Wolves defended well.
Very well. Resolute, organized. Their keeper played well too. But United, they lacked that cutting edge, Lots of crosses, maybe, but not enough clear chances carved out.
And then Wolves nicked it.
Exactly. Pedro Neto with the late winner. A reward for their discipline and hitting United on the break. Definitely ask questions about United's consistency, especially against teams that sit back.
Okay. Another London derby. Chelsea beating Fulham 2-1. Fulham took the lead in that one.
They did, yeah. Mitrovic scored early. Fulham started really brightly.
But Chelsea turned it around.
Showed good character, actually. Sterling got one back, then Mason Mount scored the winner. It was a proper battle, though. Lots of intensity in midfield, tactical tweaks from both sides.
So Chelsea dug deep for that one.
Yeah, showed resilience. And Fulham, even though they lost, can probably take positive. They pushed Chelsea close.
Good stuff. Liverpool also got a narrow win, 1-0 against Leicester. Sounds like they had to work for it.
Oh, definitely. It was a very tight game. Salah got the goal, obviously crucial.
But Leicester pushed them.
They did. Defensively, both teams were pretty solid, didn't give much away. Leicester actually created some decent chances to level it.
But couldn't take them.
No. And Alisson made some key saves for Liverpool. It shows Liverpool can, grind out results even when they're not at their absolute best. That's important.
And for Leicester?
Need to be sharper in front of goal, probably. Turn those close games into points.
Right. And finally, the last game. Tottenham losing 2-1 at home to Nottingham Forest. Another upset.
A huge result for Forest. A real surprise.
How did Forest manage that?
They got 2 goals. Brennan Johnson and Taiwo Wani hit Spurs effectively on the counter, I think.
And Spurs couldn't respond.
Well, Harry Kane pulled one back, as you expect, but they couldn't find the equalizer. Forest defended for their lives, maybe got a bit lucky, but they held on.
Massive for Forest's survival hopes.
Absolutely massive. Huge confidence booster. For Spurs, though, more concerns, especially defensively and losing at home like that.
Okay, so looking back at all 10 games, what are the big takeaways, the main themes you saw?
Well, you definitely saw the importance of being clinical, like Brentford showed. In defensive strength, like in the Palace-Bournemouth game, or Wolves and Forest getting those shock wins.
Right, the upsets were a big story.
Huge. Shows the unpredictability, doesn't it? Then you have the dominance, like City, and Villa's attacking power. A real mix across the board.
So how might these results shake things up for the rest of the season? What impact could they have?
Well, momentum is key, isn't it? Teams like Wolves and Forest will get a massive lift from those wins.
Right.
Might change how they approach the next game.
Give them belief.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For the teams that lost unexpectedly, like United and Spurs, they've got to regroup, figure out what went wrong. It definitely tightens things up, both top and bottom. Every game feels even bigger now.
Yeah, it really does. Matchday 33 certainly gave us a lot to talk about as things heat up.
No doubt about it. Sets up a really interesting final run-in.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive on Matchday 33, maybe something for our listeners to think about. Considering everything we've seen, the dominance, the upsets, the different performances, which teams do you think are actually best set up to handle the pressure and finish the season strongly?
That is the big question, isn't it? Who's got the consistency? Who's got the nerve? It'll be fascinating to watch.
Indeed it will. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Premier League weekend. We hope it's given you a good handle on what went down.
Cheers.
Until next time.